From the Ticats Audio Network, this is Ticats Today with Louie Butko.
Yes, it is Ticats Today for a Monday, September the 12th, 2022. Louie Butko here with you on the Ticats Audio Network, figuring out if I still remember how to do this after a couple of days off last week. My thanks to RJ Broadhead, who filled in for me through the week, and for David Butko for producing the shows. So in case you missed it, some great conversations with some people we don't normally hear from. Brandon Treader, who I talk to on multiple occasions every day about this team, and who sets up all the interviews and all the scrums. It was really interesting to hear him on the podcast, and I'm a little upset at myself for not thinking about bringing him on, especially on days when I struggle to find a guest. But now I know that he's a pro, so if I don't have guests, I can just call Brandon, and he'll be on the show apparently. But Jeff Girodad as well, our fantastic statistician. And Drew Stroshine, who does a great job with the equipment, and the head equipment manager. So some great conversations last week. And once again, my thanks to RJ for filling in for me. Great to be back. The Ticats were back here at Tim Hortons Field, getting set for Saturday's game. By the way, Saturday's game, the Hall of Fame game. Yeah, it feels like we just did this. But the class of 2022 getting its moment to shine, being inducted into the Hall of Fame, being led by former Argos Elks QB Ricky Ray, who will be inducted as part of the class of 2022. And you're going to want to be listening to the Ticats Audio Network through the weekend for exclusive Hall of Fame coverage right here again on the Ticats Audio Network. Ticats are back on the practice field, so we'll hear from Coach O coming up on today's show. We'll hear from Jovan Santos-Knox as well, middle linebacker for the Ticats. And we'll be joined for some Monday morning salutations as Coach Sal, John Salavantis, will be by to get us set for Saturday's game. And we'll look back to a week ago Monday, the Labor Day Classic. The Ticats aren't going to be talking about that game a whole lot this week. Just to let you know, this isn't a team that often likes dwelling on the past. So I'm sure they're ready to move on from it, and we'll be moving on from it very quickly as well. Again, as we focus our attention on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who improved to 12-1 after absolutely demolishing the Saskatchewan Roughriders at home over the weekend. Ticats didn't get much help. Maybe the fact that the Argos won, if you feel like the Ticats can't catch the Argos. The Argos beat the Red Blacks, so the Red Blacks are 3-9. The Ticats are 3-9. But the Montreal Alouettes, they crushed BC, so they move a couple of points up on the Ticats, who all they could do was watch this week on the bye week. Let's get to the news and notes. Not much to tell you about. No real changes since with the bye week, but the Ticats did announce that they've signed American receiver Terry Godwin. The 25-year-old most recently spent time with the Tennessee Titans and played in 3 games over 3 seasons with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's 5'11", 185. He's a Hogansville, Georgia native and was selected by the Carolina Panthers in the 7th round of the 2019 NFL Draft. He's a product of the University of Georgia, where he played 4 years, registering 133 receptions, 1,788 yards, and 11 touchdowns. All right, let's hear from Coach O, the president of football operations and head coach of the Ticats. He spoke after practice today, and I asked him his highlight of the bye week.
No real highlight, just time with the family, and the body clock doesn't stop, so you wake up at a nice early hour, but you don't have to get up, so that's the difference. How they handled it, you'd have to, speak with them individually, but all I can tell you is, the energy's great. The practice was awesome. The coaches seem rejuvenized. And, so one day in, feeling pretty good.
You wouldn't expect anything less, though.
No, but if you had asked, the energy was good before. But it's just different because people were able to get away from ball and, break the routine. I think that's really what it is. And I think if you were to go back and look at us in 19 or even last year, bye weeks still can come at great times, even if you're rolling. That remains to be seen, but I just love day zeros. Everybody gets reps, the people that are in the waiting room, and that's kind of why the energy is usually a little bit higher, just because, we're going good versus good, or A group versus A group as we term it. And yeah, it was fun. Consistency, a belief, well coached. I've been in big games, home and away, been down, found a way, had a little slip up, responded very nicely. They do what champions do. Well, as you saw out there, everybody except Matt took reps today. And so, that'll remain to be seen as we go. And, Louie, it's always after practice, a few hours after. How they show up in the morning is usually what most of the practice reps are predicated on.
That is the head coach and president of football operations, Orlondo Steinauer, as we caught up with him after practice today. We also had a chance to catch up with Jovan Santos-Knox, who was one of the bright spots a week ago in the Labor Day Classic, where he recorded a team-high 10 tackles, but he's also one of the leaders on this team, especially with Simone Lawrence continuing to be on the 6-game injured list. So I thought it'd be nice to check in with Jovan. And again, we started off by asking what his highlight of the bye week was.
Just, honestly getting away from football for a little bit. I think it was just a good time for us to refresh, refocus, get away from the facility, get away from, the X's and O's, and just kind of being a regular person for a couple of days, and now back in the full swings. Yeah, I think everyone has, their thing that they do in the bye week, whether it's, rest, whether it's do extra recovery, whether it be maintain the body. Luckily I was able to stay around this bye week, so got to come in here and get some extra work. So, yeah, it was good. Yeah, it's never easy, going to a bye week after taking an L, because, it just sits in your mind for a long time. But, the minute we got out here, we kind of flushed all that, and, you don't think about it as much. So, during the bye week, I know for me mentally, I was just thinking about it nonstop. So it was the best thing probably for me to get back out here, just to flush it, move on to Winnipeg. Well, they just have our respect. We know that. We know they're going to give us their best football, and, we're going to give that in return. So, with a team like this, you just got to be on your X's and O's. Make sure you, spend a little extra minutes in film or whatever the case. Make sure you're just on top of everything, because they're a great football team. They're coming to beat us. So we got to, just be on our P's and Q's.
Coming off the bye, what was the energy like day one? What was it like to have everybody back?
Yeah, you could tell that everyone came back refreshed, refocused. You could just feel the energy. It was a great energy. Like I said, we kind of flushed what happened to us last game behind us, and we're moving forward. You could just feel that direction. Everybody was, upbeat, and just you don't feel like we're a 3 and whatever team right now, which is good. But at the same time, our record is what it is, so we gotta prove people wrong. Yeah, we're frustrated, just like you said, just like they are. But just know that, you're not going to have another team working harder to turn this thing around. We're grinding every single day, staying in late hours, coming in early to make this thing work, because we do have the right guys in this room, and we want to show that the fans that, we have the right guys. We just got to, put it out there on game day. So just stay patient, and that, it's still a long season. We still got a lot of football left. I think it's the fun part of where we are in this season. Every season's a little different. Our challenge this season is just making it all come together, and maybe playing the same football, just complementary football. When the offense is on, the defense needs to be on, and just play 3 phases. And for me, I think it's encouraging. I've been on bad teams where you just didn't feel like you had a chance. So, those last 6 games were just, you're just running out there. But with this team, we know we have a chance. We know we have the right people. We know we have the guys. We just got to execute. And when we execute, we're a great team. So we just want to get out there as soon as possible, which is, against Winnipeg, to prove that we are. Hey, I think we washed away some of our, whatever we needed to wash away off that field, but it's gone now. And like you said, it cleared up for practice. So, it's just moving forward. I think, we're just ready to rock.
And that is Jovan Santos-Knox. And as a reminder, you can always catch full scrums available at ticats.ca. All right, for more on Saturday's game and a look back a week ago to the Labor Day Classic, very pleased to be joined for some Monday morning salutations with Coach Sal, John Salavantis. And Coach, let's look ahead. That's what the Ticats always seem to do. Saturday, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are coming to town. The 12-1 first place Winnipeg Blue Bombers, really testing the Ticats right away after a bye week.
Louie, it's very interesting that Winnipeg coming in as they are right now, you don't expect that you're going to get any less from them, but they've already made the playoffs. And not only that, but they're coming off back-to-back wins against Saskatchewan. The Banjo Bowl was a blowout. 54-20. So, in my mind, I think thinking about Mike O'Shea and his coaching staff, they're probably talking about a trap game where they might go to Hamilton and not do as well as expected. So we're entering the last 1/3 of the season for the Tiger Cats. And this is an opportunity for them to take a step forward and to put themselves in a position where they can go after Montreal and catch that second place. I don't know that they're going to get first place from Toronto, but they've got a shot to get second place from Montreal.
What will it take? What do you need to see on the football fields to give you encouragement going into this last third of the season that they can catch Montreal?
Well, when you look back at the last offensive performance that the Ticats had, that had to be the lowest point there could possibly be. Last night, I was watching Tampa Bay on TV, and I was reminded of the fact 1976, Tampa Bay came into the league, the NFL, as a new franchise. And John McKay was the head coach. And he had come from a great program at USC. At any rate, they lost 26 straight games before they were able to win one. And I remember one of the great quotes of all time that came out of that, when a reporter asked John McKay, what do you think about the execution of your offense? McKay's answer, I'm all for it. So, if we look back and we say this was a low point, then we've got a chance to move forward and to get things done.
Hopefully nobody's getting executed. This team here, it seems like you have Don Jackson, you have the pieces. Tim White's a great receiver. Stephen Dunbar Jr. has shown flashes this season. Keandre Smith, one of those bright spots on rookies. Is there an added level of frustration when you have all the pieces there, but it just doesn't seem to come together for some reason?
Yeah, there really is. And you look back at the last game, the two running backs, Sean Earlington and Jackson, between them, they had 6 carries in the ball game. You're not going to win very many ball games if you can't control the line of scrimmage. And that brings us back to where Mike O'Shea, when he was talking about his offensive line, there was a game this year in which the offensive line for Winnipeg was giving up a lot of pressures and a lot of sacks. And I remember at the halftime, the TSN reporter looked Mike in the face and said, what are you going to tell your offensive line at halftime? And Mike looked right back at her and simply said, they'll figure it out. They're veterans. They'll understand what they have to do. So with Hamilton, it has to get to that point. It's like Angelo Mosca when he used to come to practice and all the players would come around to see Angelo. And Angelo always said in the name of his book, look me in the eye and tell me to my face. And I think it's time for Hamilton coaches to tell the players in their face, it's your time. You got to get this done. We can't do it as coaches. It's got to be up to the players.
Let's talk about the offensive line. Let's talk about leaders, because it looks like Chris Van Zyl is trending towards getting back into the lineup. Can you just talk about what he brings to that offensive line, his experience? He's been doing it a long time, but he really doesn't seem to show any signs of his age, other than the fact that he spent some time on the 6-game injured list. But how important is Chris Van Zyl to that offensive line and in turn the offense?
Well, again, it goes back to what we were talking about. The veteran players are the ones that have to lead the way. And Van Zyl's been around long enough that he understands and knows what has to be done. Now, when you bring Chris Van Zyl into the ball game, that gives you one more American someplace that you can put into one of your units. And if we missed one guy in the last couple of ball games, it's Woods, our return man. So, maybe there's an opportunity. I don't know if he's still in sick bay or if he's coming out, but we need to get a return game going. And this might give you an opportunity to put one more player back on the field.
Yeah, and to that point, Lawrence Woods not just missed on the return game, but also on the coverage game as that gunner. He's usually one of the first guys down the field. What would you be looking at practice this week? The Labor Day Classic was a week ago now. I'm sure Coach isn't going to want to look back today too much on that game, but what would you be looking for at practice this week to give you some encouragement going into Saturday?
Well, I think you got to look at the bounce in the step of the players. Are they moving around on the field with a rested week of time? Are they focused on what has to be done in order to win this football game? Winnipeg's not going to be easy. They know that. They know they have to control those two defensive ends who can come off that edge and make it miserable for a quarterback. They know what has to be done. Now, are they focused on that? And is the offense making plans to maybe upset those two defensive ends that we talked about? Can they do some things against those guys that would keep them from the rush that they're so good at? And so I'm looking at the offensive line in particular, and I want to see that offensive line to do what needs to be done to in Winnipeg.
Yeah, and again, that offensive line has dealt with injuries. You had Coulter go down last game. We saw his hand wrapped up. So again, day zero, hard to read what we're watching on the field right now. But we'll get an injury report later on today and throughout the week for the Ticats. Defensively, again, I feel like it comes back to that frustration. They have all the pieces, they know what to do, but it just seems, especially in that second half, the other team's adjustments that they're making seem to be picking them apart, at least for a little bit. What have you seen from this defense as of late? And is there, I don't want to say concern, but what do you need to see from that defense moving forward?
Well, when we look at the defensive front seven are doing a great job against the run. They've shut the run down against every team that they've played against. Winnipeg has a good running game, and they know how to use that running game. So that group has to play very well. In the secondary seems to play extremely well for periods of time, and then all of a sudden they have a breakdown, a free safety out of position, a halfback not covering deep enough down the field. They get hurt with a deep ball in every ball game. One or two times, maybe three times a game, there's a pass over top of them. So I really think what they've got to be able to do is to combine all of that group together and make it so we stop the run up front, we force them into second and long situations, we play a little bit more man against them, and we keep that free safety in the middle, and we protect the long ball.
There are some benefits, obviously, of coming off a bye week, getting your body reset, getting your mind reset. Are there challenges coming off a bye week?
Well, certainly there's challenges because everything in football is based on a 7-day schedule, we'll say. Within the confines of the CFL, that doesn't always be true. But at the same time, it's up in the morning, into breakfast, out to the meeting room, out to the practice field, into the meeting room, and down for the night. I mean, that's the kind of a schedule and regime that players are used to. You give them a week off, their mind has to rest during that period of time, but now can they refocus and get themselves back in position to play this game?
So how do you capitalize on that restfulness, that mindfulness that these players are coming off of? Is there some trick? Is there some key to this first day of practice trying to get the best out of these guys?
Well, the first day of practice is generally an odd day, we'll say. It's a day in which, your game plan has been put in, and now you go out and try to execute it. And there's going to be all kinds of errors in that execution on that first day. But after that first day, then things really have to come into focus for those players. and they have to understand exactly what they need to do. There's 6 games left in this season. If we're going to make the playoffs, we cannot afford to stumble. We can't wait on somebody else to stumble. We can't wait for Saskatchewan not to make the crossover. We can't wait for the Red Blacks to not win a game. You know, those are things they can't control. Control yourself, control what you can control, and get yourself in a position to make this your biggest win. The last time Winnipeg lost a ball game was to Montreal. That was back in August, the very first part of August. They haven't lost since. It's time for this team, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, to put a win on the board at home.
Yeah, definitely. A win is overdue around these parts, especially coming off the Labor Day. Coach Sal, appreciate this as always. Thank you so much. Looking forward to connecting as we get closer to the game. Thanks.
All right. You're more than welcome, Louie. Talk to you.
And my thanks to Coach Sal for joining me today. My thanks to you as well, because we could not do the show without your support. So we really do appreciate it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode of this show or any other great shows we have for you here on the Ticats Audio Network, like a brand new episode of the CFL This Week. Bubba O'Neill, joined by a terrific roundtable of guests discussing the big topics of the week following week 14 of the CFL season. Ticats fans, it's time to ride on our strength from now until October 13th. Purchase 4 eligible Hercules passenger or light truck tires to receive a $100 Ticats rewards card and be entered to win our road trip sweepstakes. Available at participating Active Green and Ross Ontario locations or visit HerculesTires.com/AGR rewards. That'll do it for us today. We are back tomorrow, same time, same place, right here on Ticats Audio Network. From all of us here, I'm Louie Butko, hoping you have a great day.
Ticats Today can be heard every weekday, and we would like to hear from you. Email us at gameday@ticats.ca. Have a question or an opinion? We want to hear it. That's gameday@ticats.ca. Subscribe to the Ticats Audio Network on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.